Do you want to set up a factory under the BHAVYA scheme? The government will provide a ready industrial base. Here's the full game. It is 2 o'clock at night. A small entrepreneur is staring at the files spread across his table. A calculator lies in front of him. A project report is placed beside it. Loan eligibility is open on the laptop. And only one question is circling in his mind. Is setting up a factory in India really a business dream? Or just a long swamp of paperwork, approvals, land cost, and uncertainty? He knows buying machines is difficult, but even more difficult is finding land, securing reliable electricity, arranging water, checking the approach road, understanding environmental clearance, and then running from one office to another. Many dreams die right there, before production even begins. But now the government has approved a scheme that, at least on paper, claims exactly this. If you want to do manufacturing, you will not have to climb the entire mountain alone from the very start. The name of this scheme is Bharat Audyogik Vikas Yojna, or BHAVYA. And if it comes to the ground the way it has been presented, then the way factories are set up in India could change quite a lot in the coming years. BHAVYA is not a small administrative announcement. On the 18th of March 2026, the Union Cabinet approved this scheme and an expenditure of 33,660 crore was sanctioned for it. The government's target is to develop 100 plug-and-play industrial parks across the country so that the initial barriers to setting up manufacturing can be reduced and investors can get a faster start. According to the official PIB release, this scheme has been brought in to create world-class industrial infrastructure, unlock manufacturing potential, and strengthen the industrial foundation of the Viksit Bharat vision. Reuters also said in its report that this decision has been taken with the aim of increasing India's domestic manufacturing capability. So this is not just a land allotment scheme, but part of a much larger industrial push. Now the biggest question is, what exactly is BHAVYA? In very simple language, it is a scheme under which the government and implementing agencies will create ready industrial parks, where land, basic infrastructure, the approvals framework, and integrated services will already be available to a large extent. According to PIB, the core idea of the scheme is to build plug-and-play industrial ecosystems so that industries can move from intent to production with speed and certainty. This does not mean the entrepreneur will have to do nothing, but it certainly does mean that he will not have to do the equivalent of building an industrial township from zero all by himself. That is why this scheme looks especially attractive for those who want to start manufacturing but are afraid of land and approvals complexity. Here, it is very important to understand the term plug and play because the entire story rests on it. In India, the most painful part of setting up a factory is often not the machine, but the pre-production phase. First identify land, then check title clarity, then conversion issues, then local approvals, then road connectivity, drainage, electricity substation, underground utilities, effluent handling, logistics, and compliance. It is at this stage that time, money, and patience all break down. PIB has clearly said about BHAVYA that the parks will have pre-approved land, ready infrastructure, and integrated services, and that streamlined approvals and single window systems will be used. This means the government is claiming that the entrepreneur will not have to fight the battle outside the factory before setting up the factory to the same extent. The scale of the scheme has also not been kept small. According to the official release, industrial parks ranging from 100 to 1,000 acres will be taken up under BHAVYA. So this is not a scattered model of small sheds, but a model of comparatively large, planned industrial ecosystems. The government has spoken of providing financial support of up to Rupee 1 crore per acre for core infrastructure, value-added infrastructure, and social infrastructure. Core infrastructure includes internal roads, underground utilities, drainage, common treatment facilities, ICT, and administrative systems. Value-added infrastructure includes ready-built factory sheds, built-to-suit units, testing labs, and warehousing. Social infrastructure includes worker housing and support amenities. This is exactly the part that makes the scheme special, because manufacturing is not just the name of a machine hall, the ecosystem matters just as much. If an entrepreneur thinks of starting a factory today, a large part of his initial capital gets stuck in land and infrastructure. Many times, the business owner's real expertise lies in production, processing, engineering, or product development, but he is forced to become a township developer. BHAVYA's promise is precisely that it will reduce this initial burden. According to Reuters, Industry Secretary Amardeep Bhatia said that the government expects to develop about 33,000 acres of land over 6 years. He also said that support would be given per acre for essential and social infrastructure. This makes it clear that the scheme's target is not merely an announcement, but phased development. Of course, the final impact will depend on where the parks are built, how fast they are built, and how much actual investor occupancy they achieve. Another important part of this scheme is external connectivity. A factory is not just a building standing on a plot. It needs raw material, finished goods have to be dispatched. Trucks need to move in and out, port access or rail links are needed. Labor movement is required, and sometimes even an export ecosystem is necessary. In the official details of BHAVYA, it is said that support of up to 25% of the project cost will also be provided for external infrastructure, so that the parks can be seamlessly integrated with existing networks. This means the government, at least at the concept level, understands that if an industrial park is not effectively connected to roads, rail, ports, or logistics corridors, then its plug-and-play promise will remain incomplete. That is why the scheme has been aligned with PM Gati Shakti principles. The government has also linked BHAVYA with the broader framework of the National Industrial Corridor Development Program, or NICDP. PIB has said that this scheme will build upon the success of industrial smart cities that are already being developed under NICDP. NICDC, or the National Industrial Corridor Development Corporation, will anchor the implementation of this scheme. According to the PIB release of the 19th of March 2026, NICDC is currently implementing 20 projects across 13 states, and it has worked on investor-ready industrial ecosystems in nodes such as Dholera, Shendra Bidkin, Vikram Udyogpuri, and Greater Noida. This means the government is presenting BHAVYA not as a blank slate, but as an extension of existing corridor development experience. And this is where a major basis of the scheme's credibility is hidden. If a new scheme were only a paper vision, the market would dismiss it as a routine headline and forget it. But when the implementing agency is the same one that is already working on industrial nodes, smart cities, and corridor-based projects, investors take it a little more seriously. NICDC has said in an official note that its projects are built on features such as plug-and-play readiness, multimodal connectivity, integrated industrial and urban planning, digital monitoring systems, green energy, and water reuse systems. Now the effort appears to be to extend that same model to smaller towns and wider geographies. In other words, the government wants to spread the manufacturing ecosystem beyond mega corridors across a wider map. Now think from the point of view of an entrepreneur, whether at the MSME level, a mid-sized manufacturer, or someone who wants to become part of a global supply chain. Where could the biggest advantage of this scheme appear to him? The first advantage is time. In India, the costliest thing about setting up an industry is many times not money, but delay. The interest meter keeps running, the market window slips away, the competitor moves ahead, and before the project even starts, the business model itself begins to change. If pre-approved land, ready utilities, and approval systems really turn out to be smooth, then the time from intent to production can reduce significantly. PIB has also used exactly this line, that BHAVYA will help industries move ahead with speed and certainty. And in business, certainty itself is an asset. The second major advantage could be cost optimization. At present, many entrepreneurs have to separately spend on land development, internal roads, drainage, utility lines, warehousing tie-ups, testing support, and worker amenities. In BHAVYA, the government-backed park model can turn this burden into a shared infrastructure model. Common testing labs, warehousing, ready-built sheds, built-to-suit units, and support amenities can be especially useful for small and medium industries. This can reduce individual capital expenditure and lower initial entry barriers. That is why such parks have remained popular in global manufacturing ecosystems, because not every investor has to build every facility himself. The third advantage could be compliance simplicity, but this is exactly where it needs to be understood with the most caution. Headlines often say, now there will be no need to run around government offices. This line sounds very good, but practically, business approvals do not disappear completely. The official releases talk about single window systems, streamlined approvals, and pre-approved land, which means the approval journey can become easier and faster. But business-specific registrations, pollution norms, sectoral licenses, labor compliance, tax registrations, and operational certifications will still depend on the nature of the project. So it is more accurate to understand this scheme not as a magic shortcut, but as a friction reduction mechanism. Even so, if friction is reduced, that itself will be a major change for India's ease of doing business narrative. The fourth advantage could be location diversification. The design of BHAVYA does not appear to be only for metro cities. If industrial parks are developed across wider geographies, then manufacturing activity can move beyond big cities as well. This can reduce land cost pressure, increase regional employment, and give smaller cities a chance to become part of the industrial ecosystem. The government has linked this with balanced and sustainable industrial growth. In a country like India, this is very important because the pressure for both job creation and industrialization has now spread into Tier 2 and Tier 3 geographies. If parks are built in the right locations with good connectivity, they can transform local economies. The fifth advantage is jobs, and this is naturally the part that comes attached to every major industrial scheme. The official release of BHAVYA talks about jobs, investment, and opportunity at scale. Reuters also saw this decision as a manufacturing boost. It is true that industrial parks bring with them direct employment, indirect services, logistics demand, warehousing, ancillary units, housing demand, and local consumption chains. But here too a balanced view is necessary. The actual scale of employment will depend on which sectors come into the parks, what the level of automation is, how much MSME participation there is, and how fast park occupancy happens. Even then, the hope of manufacturing-led job creation is one of the biggest selling points of the scheme. The challenge mode selection in the design of the scheme is also interesting. According to PIB, park projects will be selected through challenge mode so that high quality, reform-oriented, and investment-ready proposals move forward. This means not every state or every location will automatically get a park. Selection may happen on the basis of quality, preparedness, and reform orientation. This approach sounds good in theory because it can promote competitive federalism. If states come with investor-friendly reforms, land readiness, and strong proposals, they can attract parks. But this very process will also demand transparency and execution discipline. Otherwise, challenge mode will remain only policy language. So the credibility of implementation will begin right from the selection process itself. BHAVYA is also being presented as a green and future-ready industrial ecosystem. The official release mentions green energy, sustainable resource use, underground utility corridors, a Nordic environment, multimodal connectivity, and efficient maintenance. This language is not only branding, modern industrial competitiveness is now also linked to energy efficiency, reliable utilities, digital systems, and sustainability metrics. Especially for export-oriented industries, environmental credibility and operational efficiency are becoming increasingly important. If the parks are built with this level of integrated planning, then they can become not just clusters of plots, but a globally comparable industrial base. And that is exactly what India's long-term manufacturing ambition needs. Now let us return to the perspective of the entrepreneur who wants to set up a factory. For him, BHAVYA does not mean just one more scheme. It means the hope that entry barriers may fall. He may now be able to think that he will not have to spend crores only on non-productive groundwork. He may be able to plan by treating logistics, testing, warehousing, and worker amenities as part of the park ecosystem. And if the model of single window and pre-approved land works properly, then some uncertainty around his project may reduce too. But at the same time, he will also have to understand that the benefit of the scheme will depend on location, eligibility, park allotment norms, sector fit, and state level execution. It would be premature to assume that every applicant will immediately get a plot. The test of India becoming a global manufacturing hub, the phrase we so often see in headlines, will actually come through schemes exactly like this. For many years, India has faced the same question. We have a large market, manpower, entrepreneurship, and policy intent, but we have industrial infrastructure that can offer investors speed, reliability, and scale. BHAVYA is trying to become exactly that answer. Its target is not just to build factories, but to create such a pre-arranged world for factories, from land to utilities, where entrepreneurs put their energy into manufacturing, not into survival paperwork. That is the real promise of this scheme. And if this promise is delivered on the ground, then it will not just be an industrial policy success, but it could also change the very mindset around starting a business in India.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls, and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.